Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to the Nate Whitson Podcast. I'm your host. Thanks for being here today. I'm a habits and behavioral change coach for Christian men. And my goal here with this podcast, with this ministry, is to better align behavior with belief. And we talk about this a lot here, that the goal isn't so much that we behave correctly in order to be right with God. We've been made right with God through faith in Jesus Christ, his death, his life, his burial, his resurrection, his sacrifice on our behalf on the cross, in our acceptance and belief in what he's done for us on our behalf is what makes us right with God, full stop. However, there's this big gap after we accept Christ where we say, it's faith. I need more faith. I need to just pray harder, try harder, do all these things. And yet we find our lives in disarray. For many of us, men, we realize at some point, like I had this wake-up call several years ago before I started this ministry of, man, I'm out of the fight. I'm not becoming more of the man that God meant for me to be. I think often of John 10:10, we mention this here a lot, that Jesus says, I've come that they might have life and have it to the fullest. And yet we're not experiencing that kind of life. We're not living the way that a changed life ought to live or to look. And so the goal for me isn't that we behave better for the sake of behavior. The goal for me is that we align what we say with what we do. In other words, our behavior with our belief, that they coincide. And again, it's not in an attempt to be right with God. It's that we are right with God through faith in Jesus, and it ought to align. Our lives ought to be aligned with that and be evident of that in our lives. We ought to be continually growing and maturing and becoming more of the men that God meant for us to be, men of honor, men of discipline, men of strength, and men of joy, the four principles of this ministry. And so, anyways, if you're new to this, if you're wondering what this is about, who I am, or if this is a good show maybe for you to connect to, man, if you're trying to fight for the life that Christ came for you to live, and you are wanting to be a man of honor, discipline, strength, and joy, you want to be a man who better aligns your life with your belief in who God is and what he's done for you, and you want to live a better and a bigger life, then thanks for listening. This is for you. And in fact, what I would encourage you to do is pause right now, hit that subscribe button, click the notification little bell or whatever it is, wherever you're listening, and that'll remind you that the show comes out every Monday. It'll let you know when a new show's out. And then share it with a friend. This is a small podcast at this point, but we hear God moving and using this in cool ways all throughout the world. And the more that you share it, the more that you subscribe and comment and pass it on, the more men that we can impact, right? And that's really what it's about. Also, if you're wanting to get to know more about this ministry, me, how you can get connected, what you get from it, what you benefit from it, go to getinthefight.club. It's .club, getinthefight.club, and you can find out more about that today. All right, so today we're talking about this idea of how it's not good to be alone. And many of you, if you follow along with the podcast, or if you're already a part of our fight club and our community, you know that in May of 2025, I tore my Achilles tendon, and maybe you don't know the full story. Well, I was wrestling against a Navy SEAL, this big bad commando, and we were going at it, we're just fighting and wrestling, and I had him where I wanted, and I think I was really close to tapping him out, like putting him in a chokehold. And then things happened, and, God had different plans for me, and the Achilles just popped, and he was mercifully saved by the tearing of my Achilles tendon. Well, I paused there because that's obviously not true. It's not true, but it's better than telling you that I was playing pickleball against a 70-year-old client of mine, and it just one bad move. So I always tell people that I tore it wrestling a Navy SEAL because it just sounds better, right? It just sounds tougher. But even as I say it, I can't even say it clearly and have you believe me at all, especially those of you that know me. I love Navy SEALs, but I would never be able to put one in a chokehold. I can guarantee you that. But the reality is I tore my Achilles. That part's true. The Navy SEAL part's not. But I tore my Achilles tendon, one bad move, one bad moment, and it led to, and still in the moment here as I record this today, like still in the recovery process of that. And one thing that strikes me here is that I didn't realize how long, number one, in the moment, I didn't realize how long recovery would take. But what I did realize was how much I was going to need people around me to help me out, right? And this is really where I'm going with this today. This isn't like a surprise, surprise moment at the end where you're like, that's where it all comes together. No, I'm going to tell you up front, it isn't good to be alone. It isn't good to not have people around you when you need others around you. I mean, in the tearing of my Achilles, you go through surgery, and right after surgery, they say, like, look, number one, you can't get it wet where there was, the surgery was at for at least 2 or 3 weeks. And so you've got to, getting in the shower is tricky. I had to keep my leg out of the shower. It's my left leg. So I've got my left leg. Fortunately, I guess it was my left leg. I could put my left leg out of the shower, sat on some, old person bench, and took half a shower basically during that stretch of time. But I've got a scooter. I can't walk. You can't put any pressure on your foot for 6 weeks post-surgery. And during that 6 weeks in particular, I'm sitting in the same chair, I had this scooter that I would drive around and had crutches, and, I would just try to hop here and there as best I could without, endangering myself or re-hurting myself. But, my wife and my kids during those 6 weeks in particular were unreal. The support, like, for example, like, I'm sitting in my chair where I have coffee and do devos in the morning, and I'd go from the bedroom to the chair, and it took so much effort. Trying not to wake my wife up, first of all, and getting on a scooter, and just every little noise would wake her up, and banging into the door, and, like, every day was tricky. I get to the chair, and my daughter, Andy May, my youngest, would, like, put my water there for me the night before, and then she would pre-make coffee, and then it would just be run. It would already be there for me, and I would try to figure out how to get on my scooter and get some coffee. But, like, when they were up, I mean, they did everything for me. And you realize in those moments, like, how vulnerable you are to one moment in time, right? Like, this one quick moment in time changed so much for me. And it was amazing, again, how much support and help I had. My wife, my kids were unbelievable, still continue to support me and be there for me as I recover and, continue to get better from this. But not only that, but I had friends and people from my fight club and people that are in my local, church and community, my parents, like, just so many people during this stretch of time that have shown up for me when I needed it most. Meals, just, phone calls and text, and like, dude, what do you need? There was a couple guys in particular where, like, one thing I didn't really think about, but during that stretch of 6 weeks, like, how do you mow your yard? This is like the middle of the summer, right? When the grass really needs it the most here in Michigan. And my dad came over and would mow for a few weeks in a row. My friends, I had a couple of friends who were like, dude, I'm going to just come. I'm just going to show up and just tell me where I can weed whack. And they weed whacked and kept the yard looking great and did things that I couldn't do. Over and over and over, man. Like, to have people check in on me, to have people offer help, to have my wife and my kids support, it hit me so hard that it's not good to be alone. It's not good to be alone. We need other people to lift us up and to help us when we can't help ourselves. The verse from Ecclesiastes 4, 2 are better than one, but woe to the man who falls alone. Woe to the man who falls alone. It kind of reminds me of this story that makes me so sad. And I'll be careful, obviously, for people that are local that listen to this and not really explain who this guy is, but we'll just say that there's a story of a guy that I know from town and was talking to somebody in his family, and he was saying that this guy is roofing his house. There were storms that came through our town a while back, a few weeks ago, at least during the time of this recording, and there was storm damage to many houses, and his roof was one of them. Well, it was just kind of a casual conversation, but it was like, hey, this guy is roofing his house. I was like, okay, pretty common story, right? But the part of it that was shocking and so sad was that this guy was roofing his house by himself. I mean, think about that. Number one, like, I'm not that dude. I'm not handy like that. I don't know stuff like that. Clearly this guy is, so he felt confident that he could do such a thing. But man, it was so telling. The fact that he is roofing his house by himself made me super sad for him. And it made me super grateful for all the blessings that I have, because I'm never alone. I'm never without somebody that's going to call on me, check on me. If I was, again, in a situation where I needed a roof to be replaced, I know for sure. Think about this, and I don't know if you have this feeling, but I know for sure that I could make a few phone calls and tell some people like, hey, would you be willing to help at some point? And I know for sure that people would be there for me. I was thinking about this guy's story. And in fact, my wife had made the comment, something like, gosh, I wish he would have just called Nate, because I know Nate could have found guys. And think about that. Not even my roof, but I'm surrounded by such amazing people that I could have made phone calls and said, hey, man, my Achilles is torn, and there's a guy that you maybe don't know who's roofing his house by himself. Would you, in Jesus' name, go help serve this guy? And I promise you and guarantee you that men would have shown up. I know guys, I can think of their faces right now. Guys that are just consistently there for me, consistently there for others, and this guy could have definitely had help. But the guy telling the story to us said, you know what, nah, he's too proud for that. There's no way he would. But think about the story of this guy's life. The sadness in this story is that he doesn't have anybody who he could call to help him roof his house. He is tearing the shingles off by himself. He is covering the tarps, and it rained on it actually while he was doing this by himself. And he's doing it all, right? He's tearing it off, cleaning it up. I mean, can you imagine being in this position and then also just knowing, well, who else would I call? I don't have the money to do it, and I don't have the community to do it, right? There's a danger in that. You know, and what's interesting to me as I think of this story and as I share it with you today, it's this. At some point, storms come, right? At some point, there's going to be repairs that need to be done, maybe to your body, maybe to your mental health, maybe to your roof, your car, something in your life. Storms come. And nobody should be roofing their house alone. You know, nobody should be dealing with life alone like that. It is a sad, sad thought to me that this guy's out here doing this and doesn't have any community where he could have called. Now, again, I don't know the full details there. Maybe there is, but I kind of know enough. I know enough of this story to know that there's a pridefulness there that kept him from asking help, and there's a lack of community where he could even look around and think, well, who in the world would help me with this? It's interesting as I tell you this story because years ago, I don't even know, maybe 20 years ago or so, I remember being a part of roofing a house for a friend, and it was super fun, actually. We were roofing this guy's house, and the guy who had previously owned it was related to this guy. Anyways, he had showed up, and he's like, how in the world do you get these people to come and help you on a weekend to roof your house like this? I don't know anybody that would come. And what's interesting is the guy that's saying that was kind of like this guy that was known for being a partier. So he's like surrounded by people all the time, but it's that superficial friendship, right? It's not the guy that comes and roof. It's the guy that as long as you've got the weed or the beer or whatever it is, right? If you're going to have a party, he'll be there. But if you need him for real life, that guy doesn't exist, right? It's not a real deep friendship. It's not the Proverbs 27 friendship of iron sharpening iron. It's just this abusive relationship where you keep each other stuck. And man, like when I think of these stories of the guys that feel that way or the guys that are roofing alone, it's a sad commentary and it's a sad story because life to the fullest is available, but they don't have it. They don't even know that it exists. And it's like the world has given us men this image of that's what a real man does. He can roof a house by himself. He can build a house by himself. He can do this by himself, right? It's this lone wolf mentality. It's the James Bond mentality, this idea that like, I don't need anybody, but that's crap, right? That's total crap. And again, it's not good to be alone. It's the opposite of what the world's messaging is to us. This guy had nobody, right? Ecclesiastes, woe to the man who falls alone, or maybe in his story, woe to the man who roofs his house alone. I think the thing that I'm trying to say that I feel so strong about as I think of these stories here today is that being a part of a brotherhood like Fight Club is here that I'm a part of in leading, being a part of a small group of men in your town, in your community, having a small, strong group of men isn't about receiving, it's about giving. This is the other side of this. It's about knowing that somebody needs you, right? It's not good to be alone. And yeah, you're going to receive from that. There's times you're going to tear your Achilles wrestling a Navy SEAL like I did. But you're going to need somebody. The storm's going to come and the roof's going to fall off, and you're going to need somebody to give to you. You're going to need to receive. But there's also somebody in your life that has the roof falling off right now that needs you to give to them. And real strength isn't just in the receiving, right? It's in the giving. That's what Jesus said. Like the upside down kingdom is, it's more blessed to give than to receive, and you're needed. This is what I want you to know today. Somebody needs you. Somebody needs you at your best. Somebody needs you to be the man that God meant for you to be. You need somebody like that. And somebody needs you. It's like even today in Devos today, I was reading through 2 Samuel. And in this chapter, they were talking about David's mighty men. Have you ever read this before, David's mighty men? It's such a cool passage, and it's just telling the exploits of these guys. And they had names for these groups, and the one group was called the Three. I love the simplicity of it. It was like the three baddest dudes on his team. And he had these three. And in fact, the famous story with the three was David's like, parched, and he's sitting in a cave probably somewhere, and he's just like, man, I wish I had some of that water from the well at Bethlehem. And they're sitting around, they're like, do you remember how good that water tastes? Can you imagine having something like that right now? Well, those three, right? The inner circle here, those guys sneak in the middle of the night to Bethlehem, endangering their lives for a cup of water to bring to David. And of course, David receives this and he pours it out, and he's like, God forbid I drink this thing that was brought to me for just not woe is me, but like little old me, right? Little old David. Why would they risk their lives for that? There's no way I'm drinking this. But what did it do? It solidified this fact that he had brothers who would risk their lives to just comfort him in a moment. I love that story. There's times that we need to be able to say, like, man, I wish I had somebody help mow my yard, do the weeds for me, bring me a meal, sit with me while I mourn, whatever it is. And there's times that somebody else is wishing for that, and you're the guy for him. Like, this idea of being the man that God meant for you to be isn't just so that you can receive, but it's so that you can give, and somebody's waiting for a friend like you. I heard this line the other day. I thought it was so good. Real strength isn't proven by how much you can carry alone. It's proven by how willing you are to carry others and let them carry you. Let me read that again. I think it's so good. Real strength isn't proven by how much you can carry alone. It's proven by how willing you are to carry others and to let them carry you. Real strength, right? Real strength isn't roofing a house by yourself. Real strength isn't like showing how, brave and wise and strong you are because you can do it alone. That's junk. That's terrible. And it's where many of us find ourselves today. Real strength is proven by your ability to be there for somebody else who feels alone. And I don't know the stats offhand to give you an accurate one, but I can tell you the stats in general. And they are this. Men feel alone. I mean, look around the church. And what's interesting is we've never been more surrounded by people. In fact, this guy that's roofing his house alone, he has a job, he goes to work, and I'm guaranteeing you he's around people. But he's alone. And how do I know? He's on a roof, roofing it by himself, right? There's so many men, if you would just look around, that are looking for a guy that's like, I would love to have a conversation with somebody about something meaningful. I would love to have somebody that checked in on me when I got hurt. I'd love to have a group of three like David who would just be there for me and sacrifice everything for me. Can you imagine having deep, amazing relationships and friendships and brotherhoods like that? It's possible. But for you to get there, what I would tell you is this, and I say this to people all the time. This makes me think of like what I tell my kids. if you want to have great friendships and you don't want to be alone in life when the storms come, then it starts with you being a great friend first. Be a great friend to somebody. Show up when somebody feels alone, when somebody's roof has fallen off, when somebody is going through a hard time. Text that person. Be somebody who checks in on them. Be somebody who shows up without even being asked or told, and just start serving. Just start giving. Just be a great friend. Maybe for some of you, it's just like you need to look at your local church body and just like join a men's group or start one, right? If you're like, well, our church sucks and there's nobody there, nobody's serving, whatever. Look. You do it. You be the man, right? You be the first piece of iron that sharpens other pieces of iron. Start a men's group or join one. Maybe like we do these things here in Fight Club called campfire conversations, where we light a fire and invite people to come, and men just show up, and then we just have like some good conversations, like, once a month, once a quarter, whatever it might be, but just have a bonfire, get some guys together to, just chat and talk and be together. There's so many guys that would show up for that because they're like, man, I don't have anybody like that, right? I go to work and I'm around people, but I don't have people. Open up your Bibles if you're not sure. Just read one chapter and start talking about it. It doesn't have to be crazy. It just has to be together. And the invitation is open. If you're listening to this, check out our Fight Club. You can go to getinthefight.club and learn more about it. Getinthefight.club/FC for Fight Club. We'll tell you all about it. It's free. And what we do here is we encourage men on a daily, weekly, and monthly basis. Again, totally free. We read through the scriptures together. We do a live Devo on the weekdays. There's a scripture to meditate on that kind of focuses on a theme for the month that we talk about during our monthly gatherings that we do for just 1 hour a month online. It's all recorded. If you miss it, you can just watch it. It's kind of like a Facebook group, Facebook private app that only people that I allow into it who are Christian men come to it. So it's like the best of social media without all the junk, right? The cat videos that you don't care about, or somebody posting about what they had for dinner that you don't care about, right? It's just Christian men trying to be the men that God meant for them to be and live this fuller, better life. And so go to getinthefight.club and check it out. If you're looking for a place to connect, this is a good starting point. But I always tell guys, like even in the online world, like my goal is that it's like a battery charger for you, right? It injects you with energy and fuel so that you can go live real life and be there at somebody's real roof, somebody's real church, somebody's real life. There's people from all over the world that are in Fight Club, and it's encouraging and it's cool, but man, it's really there to inspire you, encourage you to go back to your home and be the husband and father that you need to be in real life, right? But anyways, it's a place. It's free. It's awesome. You should check it out, getinthefight.club. But the message for you today is I hope clear. It's not good for you to be alone. We need each other. And what I want you to hear really clearly is somebody needs you. Somebody needs you to be that guy for them, right? Somebody needs you to help sharpen them when they're down, when their Achilles tears, right? When their roof falls apart, whatever it is. Somebody needs you and you need somebody else, right? So lone wolves don't last. Remember that. That's for the movies. The goal for you is to not be alone, and it starts with being a great friend. Be a great friend to somebody else, and you will eventually find great friendships to strengthen you. All right, that's it for today, man. I hope this encouraged you in some way, and if it did, again, please be sure to subscribe, click the notification button, and maybe share it with somebody that needs to hear it. That's super helpful, helps us to reach more men, and that's our mission here. So get in the fight, and we'll see you real soon. Hey guys, thanks so much for being here today and listening to the show. Please be sure to head over to the website at getinthefight.club. And before you go, if you haven't already, please subscribe, click the like button, and leave us a positive 5-star review. It makes a huge difference whenever you do. Have a great day. Go get in the fight.